The Bank of Canada says that 47% of mortgages will come up for renewal in 2018. That is a crazy number, and we want to make sure that you know exactly what to do when your mortgage does come up for renewal. So we put together our 7 steps to renewing your mortgage. Here we go. So step number 1 in renewing your mortgage is to find out what rates your lender is going to offer you. You can do this simply by calling them and asking them what the variable, the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 5-year rates are that they're willing to offer, and also ask them if they have any rate specials that you're eligible for. Be cautious though. Oftentimes lenders will give you a call and they will say, hey, we want to early renew your mortgage, and often this includes giving up 6 months of the low rate that you may already have. So for example, one of our clients recently with Scotiabank was offered to renew her 2-year fixed mortgage, which she had got at 2.29%, 6 months early. They had offered to renew her at 2.89 because that was a significantly lower rate than the 3.29 that they could currently offer. Now the problem was she was giving up 6 months at 2.29, which far exceeded any savings that she was going to receive by renewing into that higher rate early. So watch out for that little trick. Step number 2 in renewing your mortgage is to check the rates that your bank or your lender has offered you against what is otherwise available in the market. So the best way to do this is to call a mortgage broker. They'll be able to give you 2 things. One is what the best rates are at that point in time, and 2 is an idea of whether the rates that your current bank or lender has offered you are competitive. Once you've got the rates from the broker, you've probably got a difficult decision to make. That conversation will typically lead to step number 3, which is to determine if you want to stick with the lender that you currently have. Now, there's a joke that we often tell our clients. It has to do with a banker that passes away and finds himself at the pearly gates. He finds himself at the pearly gates and St. Peter says, would you prefer to stay in heaven or would you like to go to hell? And of course, the banker says, well, I'm not stupid, I'd like to go to heaven. St. Peter opens up the pearly gates, banker walks into heaven, spends the next week enjoying himself in this beautiful, wonderful, white, fluffy world. But after about 7 days, he realizes that he's a little bit bored. It's not as edgy as he'd like. So he goes back to St. Peter and says, hey, heaven's nice, but you gave me the option of heaven or hell. Do you think I could maybe just go and test hell out and see what it's like? And St. Peter says, sure, no problem. So instantly the banker finds himself on Pebble Beach golf course. He's got the woman of his dreams with him. He's got a beautiful red convertible and lives out 7 of the most fantastic days of his life. And after day 7, he's summoned back to the pearly gates, and St. Peter says to him, so you've seen heaven, you've seen hell, which would you prefer? And the banker goes, well, heaven was nice, but I really loved hell. It was the time of my life, or afterlife in this case. And St. Peter says, you know what? No problem. Instantly, the banker finds himself in this fiery hell that is nothing like what he's spent the last 7 days looking at. There's ghouls, goblins all over the place, and a devil with a pitchfork standing in front of him. And the banker looks at the devil and says, well, what the heck just happened? This isn't the hell I saw for the last 7 days. And the devil looks at the banker and says, yeah, well, before you were just a prospect, now you're a client. And unfortunately, that right there is the way that most clients will feel once they've been given their renewal offer from their bank. So if you make the hard decision and you decide to move on from your bank, the next step, step 4 in the process, is to apply with the broker. Now you could go and you could apply with a bank here, but it doesn't make a lot of sense since the broker is going to be able to give you kind of the view of the entire landscape of the market and be able to guide you in the right direction to make sure that you find a lender that actually suits your needs. Often what they'll do is they'll be able to put you with a lender that the next time you come up for renewal, they'll be able to act on your behalf and make sure that you do get the lowest rate available on the market. So after step number 4, which is applying with the broker, you're going to have to collect some documents. Now, documents are the one thing that the bank will use as the reason to stick with them. What they'll say is, oh, in order to renew with us, you just have to sign a document and you're done. But the reality of the documentation that you have to collect to move your mortgage is it's only a couple of things. 1, it's a job letter, 2, it's a pay stub, and 3, it's a mortgage statement. If you're self-employed, you might have to get a couple of years of tax returns from your accountant. But literally it takes 10 to 15 minutes to gather up the documentation you need to move your mortgage to a new lender. And often it means $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in savings. So don't get fooled by that, hey, you're gonna have to go through a massive process to move your mortgage to a different lender. You should sign with us for a higher interest rate. It's really not that much work. So step 5 is you collect all of your documentation, and then step 6, once your mortgage is approved, is to get the title insurance to come in and actually transfer your mortgage from your existing lender to a new lender. And the really cool thing about the title insurance companies is they will come to you. So you can be at work, you can be at home, you can be anywhere else in Canada, and the title insurance will be able to come out to you and have you sign the new mortgage documents. So a really simple process for transferring your existing mortgage on title from one lender to another. Oh, and by the way, the costs of all this are absolutely free. The lenders will typically pick up the cost for any appraisals or any legal fees that are involved in moving your mortgage, which is amazing, right? So at that point, once the title insurance signs up all your mortgage documents, you are all done. So step number 7, which is the last step in the process, is to give your mortgage broker a hug. If they've done their job and they've done it properly, they've likely just saved you anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000, sometimes more, by moving you from one lender to another. So really simple process upon renewal. The great thing is renewal means choice. It means you have the option to reevaluate whether your lender that you chose when you first got your mortgage is still the right lender for you. And because you get to reevaluate that and move your mortgage for free, it can be one of the most beneficial times in the entire life of your mortgage.